Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4! And today, sporting the northwest corner of the map, playing in red, we've got Beastyqt playing as the Malians. And battling against them today, spawning in the southeast in blue, we've got Myriad playing as the Japanese. Welcome everyone to Carmel. As always, hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon or good evening. And it's great to be back. I did take a bit of time away from Age of Empires 4. Not really much out of choice as such. I went abroad for a while, and of course had no means to really cast games, but it was a nice break, and hopefully now we'll be back casting a lot more Age of Empires 4, a lot more regularly. Now, it seems like a lot of things have been changing. Whilst I wasn't able to cast games, I was still kind of keeping up with things, and we see something interesting here already with the Japanese. Myriad coming up with an early barracks in the Dark Age, getting some spearmen out. And actually, I mean, whilst this is kind of sort of new with some civilizations getting Dark Age spearmen to maybe push in some deer packs, maybe put some aggression on their enemy. I mean, in this kind of map, to be fair, there is a lot of deer that can be pushed. It looks like actually, though, Myriad is going to be putting a bit of pressure on his enemy, the Malians, and understandably so, because the Malians have always been one of these civilizations that actually, if you don't really stop what they do early, it can get out of control. And a lot of that's down to the fact that they can make cows in their cattle ranches. It's a really powerful mechanic for the Malians. You can just gather gold and make some cows from mills and really gather the food incredibly fast. There's like a really sweet spot. It's almost like early Castle Age, where you've got all the cattle all sorted out. You get a specific landmark to boost the food from the cattle, and the food income starts to get out of control, which is what Myriad is looking to try and stop. In fact, he's actually also sending a villager, so it looks like it's going to be an outpost rush, just to double down on the position that he's trying to aggress on. Now, this is something we see actually time and time again against the Malians. It's similar to sort of the HRE, where if you let them do what they want to do, it can get out of hand. Unfortunately, Myriad does lose a spearman. Beast coming back with a handful of sheep, 10 sheep to be exact. Now, this actually kind of has some interesting consequences for the game, because the other gold for Beast is at the back, and of course, whilst a lot of civilizations make their food from farms eventually when they run out of food from the sheep or deer, the farms cost wood, but the cows for the Malians, they cost gold, and that's really why their economy is based on gold. So denying gold is a huge deal. Looks like Myriad might be able to deny 2 gold veins for Beastie. What this does allow, though, is maybe a kind of a switch up in play. We have been seeing professional scouts a lot for other civilizations. Kind of curious to see if Beastie will look to go for professional scouts himself, because on a map like Carmel, there's a lot of deer pack to be gathered, right? So I think the Malians is an interesting pick in this actually situation, because on other maps, punishing them like this to stop their gold gathering can have a bit of a bigger impact if your professional scouts not being as effective on other maps, with there being less deer to be gathered. But professional scouts on this map could be really, really powerful. It's a nice way for Beastie to get out of this situation that he finds himself in. Now, with this aggression, what it does allow Myriad to do is delay Beastie's Castle Age timing, most likely. And it should give him a good Castle Age timing himself if he does protect this gold and food income. The real question is whether Beastie decides to get professional scouts, whether he does decide to seed farms of his own, and whether how much aggression he wants to put in the feudal age. Certainly probably wants to take care of this outpost sooner rather than later, so that it doesn't get out of control and a bit of a grip on his food, as you can see now, placing the mill on the berries to gather some food there. Could be for some upgrades. I suspect he's not going to be making cows, because he just doesn't have a hugely sustainable gold income. He does have some gold from the Mansa quarry, so that will help him get to the Castle Age eventually, but it won't be the quickest route there. He does kind of commit to quite a few spearmen here, Myriad. So he went for 5 in total. Obviously 1 died, and another one is very low on health now, getting shot at with some arrows. It's going to be the Cura storehouse for Myriad, so we're talking about the importance of food to get to the Castle Age and make units, and this should help Myriad get there with some free farms once that's built. Of course, the Dark Age pressure did mean it was a bit delayed to the feudal age. You'd kind of expect that, because of course these spearmen do cost a decent amount of food, and it will indeed be professional scouts here for Beastie, so that's the way he's going to be gathering his food. in the feudal age. As well, don't bear in mind, I mean, they get good scouts here, the Malians. They get the Vanguard Scout, and they can heal himself up when out of combat, which is very, very nice. And there's a lot of deer cap to be gathered. So really good out here for Beastie and his food income. Gonna get an archery range as well. Kind of expecting to see probably some javelin throws. I think they're an incredibly strong unit for the Malians. In many ways, a bit underrated. Oh, villagers here. Or the spearmen, rather. Get a couple of shots off. But yeah, on that thought, the archery range and the javelin throws, for me, are an incredibly powerful unit. It really dictates maybe the way the game pans out, but also, more importantly, it's very hard to counter them because, you know, your enemy can't go for archers of their own. It's just not going to work. They'll have to go into cavalry. Or maybe samurai could be an option. See how Myriad decides to address that situation of the javelin throwers. And granted, the Japanese power in the castle age does generally lie with the mounted samurai. Gets good mobility, get on the map, look at secure some relics, and it does look like actually Myriad is thinking about the castle age now with 6 villagers on gold. But he's still in the dark age, of course. Villager will be sniped here. Gets poked. See, really trying to deny the gold, which is exactly what Myriad needs to do. There will be a blacksmith here for the Malians, possibly looking to get siege engineering to take this down eventually. Doesn't quite have the wood for it, of course, just yet, but he might be thinking about getting that soon. Speaking of wood, Myriad spending his wood on an outpost on the gold just to make sure he's safe and secure, make sure he isn't raided. I mean, a couple of scouts here in this position could be a bit annoying. Of course, now they are gathering the deer to get that food income. Now, I would like to say, by the way, a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, we might actually be able to push this back with javelin throwers. It's a nice way to counter, of course, the spearmen. We will now get control of that gold vein. It's unfortunate that Myriad wasn't able to get a second outpost, actually, as it happens, because now gold income should be pretty secure. This is exactly what Beastie needs, food and gold, to get to the next stage. Speaking of which, Myriad is not far away from getting to the next stage himself. Just a bit more food, be well on his way. Now, Carmel is an interesting map. You've got quite a few small gold veins, and 1,600 here as the smaller ones, but you've only got one massive gold vein in the middle with 8,000, so it can be a bit of a rush for the middle. See who gets there first and who needs it the most. Bear in mind, javelin throwers, they do cost a bit of gold, so they're not the easiest unit to get early if the gold is under pressure, but bear in mind, macro-wise, if you're playing Age of Empires 4, javelin throwers are quite a nice unit because you typically need food and gold as the Malians. Wood is not hugely something that they desire or need to make sure they get. I mean, they need it for buildings and things, but other than that, your javelin throwers are doing fine without any wood. See now as well, even scouts taking fights against spearmen, would you believe? Because of course the scouts can always run away and heal on up. He's got a lot of food underneath the town centre now here, Beastie. Now back at home for Myriad, it will be the floating gate landmark, adding the stable, and we're expecting to see some mounted samurai before too long. And it'd be a good timing for him if he can pick up the vast majority of the relics. It would be nice for him. Good thing about Carmel is that actually the relics are more or less in the middle of the map. Some maps you get relics kind of in your own base sort of thing, so it can be a bit difficult to get your enemies one if their relic is in their base. Good thing for Myriad is actually the relics are pretty much in the middle of the map. This outpost is likely to go down as long as those javelin throwers keep on top of those spearmen, although the spearmen are doing a lot of work on that battering ram. He might lose the battering ram if he's not careful. Probably needs to pull a villager to repair that, Beastie. But he's done some significant damage, of course. The repairs can't come in for the outpost because there's no villager here to repair with. In any case, the floating gate landmark almost done. With the Furimba garrison here for the Malians. No real surprises there, of course, because there's not really many... Well, there's no single cow here on the field, really, to justify the other landmark. It's an interesting one here. Furimba garrison has had some changes recently, allows now new units. The Mansa Musafadi, the Mansa Javelineer, or the Freeborn Warrior. And, I mean, I feel like if he's got to go for the javelin throwers, right? The Mansa javelin throwers would be, or the Mansa Javelineer. I think that'd be a nice approach for him. He's already got the archery range set up. The repaired ram is probably likely to take this outpost down, which means the pressure now on the gold has all been released. It's going to come down to how many relics can Myriad get before Beasty starts to move on out, which is already now. This is the thing, right? Professional scouts allows them to mop up all the food off the map, and that is a lot of food to gather. The bigger consequences for this all, by the way, is that actually in the next 20 minutes or so, it's quite likely the Japanese will run out of food, and that becomes a problem for them, as they need a transition to farms, whereas the Malians will have plenty of food underneath the town centre. As you can see, he's been relying on deer camp. He's got plenty of sheep there remaining, so his food's going to last a very long time. There's going to be coming a point in the game where Mira is going to need to commit to farms. A lot of food going to be needed, and a lot of wood needed to supply that. And that's going to hurt him quite significantly. There's a big window of opportunity there for the Malians to then put pressure. Speaking of pressure, a couple of villagers will go down to these mounted samurai. With only the Javelineers here to defend with, it could be problematic. In small numbers, the Javelineers don't really do too well against cavalry. In big numbers, though, they can do a job for sure. Especially as balanced projectiles is on the way. But the mounted samurai already making their way across the field. One relic deposited back at home. I'm sure many more will be on the way. Just trying to wall up now. The Japanese do have a bit of a shield on their units. You may have noticed the white bar on that mounted samurai. Will be sniped. The great thing about the Javelineers as well, they get poisoned javelins. Does an extra 3 damage over 6 seconds. And again, if you've got a large number of these javelin throwers, they can do a lot of work with that. But he's lost a handful of villagers here. Beastie, 6 in total. Just the harassment from the mounted samurai have done good work. Of course, the mobility for the Javelineers all that not that great. So being pulled from other directions is not ideal for them. But now with the walls up on the left side, it gives Beastie a bit more control on his base. Make sure that he only has a couple of focal points he has to defend with. Although this is a problem. Mounted samurai going for the wood line. And there's surely going to get some kills here. Really nice raiding here from Myriad for sure. Beastie's losing quite a significant part of his economy. But he is starting to get some cows, it seems. At least we did see one earlier. Now, 2 mounted samurai is probably not enough to take care of this. But it's forcing Beastie to stay at home. And in the meantime, Myriad should be picking up those relics. He's got 2 in his clutches. As you can see here, bringing them home. That'll be good for him in the mid to late game. But the bigger problem, as we talked about earlier, is the eventual food transition. That could be a painful one. But let's just see how much food he's got underneath his town centre. Yeah, not a lot. Of course, he does have some farms because of the Cura storehouse, which is always nice and welcome. But it won't necessarily be enough. Granted, he does have the Daimyo Manor, which helps increase the harvest rate of nearby farms by 20%. So I think it'll stabilise now for Beastie. He lost quite a few villagers, 10 in total, but he's got the army military numbers now to really peg these mounted samurai back, and he's starting to get the walls up as well. Myriad doing really well with the raiding, coming in from every other direction, trying to get as much value as he possibly can. But as the unit numbers do build up for Beastie, he'll be able to actually split up his army. Now there is a big stack of deer camp here for Myriad to potentially take. He's having to venture out onto gold. In quite an exposed spot, but of course the mobility not really in the favour of the Malians, at least for now. So you should feel quite safe and secure with that. Should be able to take that down. Does indeed. I wonder if he can snag that. Looks like Beastie now feels confident moving out forward. Or maybe not actually. Not quite just yet. As Myriad now looks to secure some of the sacred sites, as he has picked up 3 of the relics. But Again, that wood line under fire. Oh, that's a lot of villagers now in total. 12. But he just has so much food underneath his town centre. Right, myriad going for the back deer. Now the question is, what's the army going to be like from here? Sticking with the mounted samurai, adding a couple of Yumi Ashigaru, which is an interesting choice, of course, going up against Javelineers, but he's probably preempting the thought of Donsos, the spearman unit for the Malians. Probably enough to 3-shot a mounted samurai. Actually, probably 2-shot with the bows and arrows, because that just does do some lasting damage. This is a massacre for these mounted samurai. They're not doing well with this. Just not enough numbers, right? The javelin throws in such good numbers here for Beastyqt, and he's mowing these down. That's not a good fight here for the Japanese. That's going to hurt him quite significantly because these units are very costly in terms of food. And I suspect the food of the Japanese will run out. Well, actually, to be fair, he's actually got quite a few deer camp here to be taken. So he's got a bit of time. But the bigger problem now is that for the first time in the game, it looks like the Malians should be able to go out and be aggressive. He's going to need that outpost. Going to need it quick. What if Beastie gets there in time? He probably does, actually, if he spots it. Oh, just walks on by. Looks like he's going to go for the gold, right? That's the next natural position to go for. He does spot the villagers and berries, and even if the outpost is up, the villagers have to back away, really. Now, myriad does have all 3 sacred sites. That could be a potential win condition for him, but it's going to be hard to hold on. Oh, he's going to go for the gold. And that's going to be problematic. This could be a massacre here for myriad. He's going to lose a handful for sure. He's only got a couple of Yumi Ashigaru he's raiding with, so there's not going to be too much of a problem here for the BC. Javelineers are chasing. And these villagers, whilst they are still running away, they're idle, so they're not gathering resources for the Japanese. Samurai come out right from the back. It should be a clear up here for myriad, but he will have some losses. Being in the berries means the surface area for the attack is not great for myriad, but he should be able to clear out these Javelineers. It's always the risk you run with these sorts of units. You can't really run away from a fight with the Javelineers, but it's still going to take a good amount of damage, myriad. And what these samurai will go down. Overall, not too bad of an excursion here for the Malians, and he's got enough back at home already rebuilding the army. Looks like actually Mira's trying to make a play for the middle. It would be a good spot to secure, right? Long-term wise, 8,000 gold in the match is going to be important, and he's going to try and secure it with 2 outposts. Beastie recognizing that, is going to put a bit of pressure. He's got enough units to put pressure on as well. Slowly starting to become a problem, this position here for Myriad. I'm not sure he's got enough to secure it with. Although, actually, that number of mounted samurai should be able to do the trick. Beastie will need to back away. And instead of hitting and running, he's just running, trying to get back to his base as close as possible. I mean, to be fair, he's been dragged into a fight that maybe Myriad shouldn't be taking. And, well, if he took the fight earlier on in the middle, it would have been better for him, for Myriad, but Beastie not allowing that to happen. Actually, Myriad's going to lose all of these samurai. This is a painful loss. It does allow him to get the outpost in the middle, but that was an expensive loss to achieve that. He's still picking up deer camp on the way. Couple of deer carcasses left around the back. Beastie just sticking with pure Javelineers at the moment. Plenty of archer rangers, of course. No barracks in sight for him just yet. Of course, the natural counter to the mounted samurai are Donsos. But the interesting thing is that actually, with Javelineers and adding in Donsos from here, that could be really difficult for the Japanese to deal with. In fact, I'm not sure how he does. Could potentially think about regular samurai from barracks, potentially siege. But the Javelineers do pose a really unique problem for the Japanese because, of course, can't go for ranged units, archers. Javelineers will just take care of them. And as we've seen in the match so far, Javelineers in big numbers can still do a job against mounted samurai. Take the fight here. Again, I think this is a fight that actually Beasty will be okay taking. I mean, he will lose some Javelineers, but you see how much damage he's doing, and it looks like he's actually one-shotting these mounted samurai. The poison arrow doing the rest of the damage to kill the samurai off. Yeah, again, this is the thing. Without having significant numbers of these mounted samurai, they just take some bad fights. Expensive units to lose. Myriad down to 10 military versus 41. Sure, he's got a greater economy, at least for now. But he's starting to lose a grip on the map. Losing the sacred sites as well. A couple of Javelineers just raiding around the back. Beasty keeping an eye on where the food is coming in for the Japanese and doing his best to deny it. Not a single extra farm for him just yet. Can you believe Beasty's still on the sheep? He's been making some cows in the meantime as well. Oh, this could be bad. The gold has been discovered once again. And he's losing quite a few villagers here, Myriad. And oh, the way that these villagers are running, he might be caught. Oh, this is not looking good. Now, the movement speed of the Javelineers, 1.38 versus the 1.29, so they will be caught, and there's no way to run away from this. Myriad just going to lose his villagers. This is super bad. Talk about the economic advantage that he had, but that's pretty much being wiped out now. Now to Samurai. We'll clear the Javelineers out, but I mean, this is great value for Beasty. He would definitely want to be... if he had the choice to do this again, I'm sure he would. Alright, looks like the Javelineers... And this is a lot of them, holy smokes. Pure Javelineers here for Beasty. Oh, but he just caught out here, but there's only one mounted samurai, so he'll be able to deal with that, okay. Looks like maybe Beasty might be making a play for the middle now as well. He's got a ram there to take the infrastructure down. But the Japanese are stuck with mounted samurai for quite a period of time. Understandably so. It feels like that's the kind of strongest counter he has to the Javelineers, apart from maybe siege. The big problem for the Japanese, of course, is that an easy switch to Donsos for the Malians could be really painful. I think there's just too many Javelineers, right? He's thought about diving in there, Myriad, but this number of Javelineers, critical mass, means that they could take a fight even against cavalry. This is not looking too good for Myriad, I gotta say. He's going to get surrounded on the left side as well. This is probably a big fight that should determine the outcome of the game. He's going to try to clear this out. He might be able to, actually, as it happens. But not without casualties. Beasty going line formation with the Javelineers, trying to get as much value as he possibly can. And they're just doing so much work. I mean, sure, the amount of samurai will catch up, but in that choke point... Oh, he could actually... Yeah, he will create a choke point with the walls. They will be trapping in those well, maybe not say trapping the mounted samurai, but forcing them to fight in a choke point. Means actually the numbers don't count for as much, and he's going to go straight through the gate. Great work there by Beasty. Going to maximize the value of the Javelineers, and he's eked out so much more value because of that wall. Sure, the mounted samurai will get through, but that's about 2 or 3 more that's lost because of it. He's going to continue the chase, but... Sure, I think the Javelineers will go down in the end, but they've gotten a lot of value. Bear in mind, the Javelineers, they're not the most expensive unit in terms of food. 80 food and 40 gold. Versus the whopping 140 food and 110 gold of a mounted samurai. So you lose a mounted samurai, it's a big deal. But you're going to start to get a bit of momentum back into the game here, Myriad. Oh no, not again. This gold vein has been the bane of the Japanese here. Lost quite a few villagers earlier on in the game, about to lose a lot more. Mounted samurai might be diving in here though. Does have the abandonment helping out. There's quite a few villagers here that are super exposed, not enough space to garrison inside. This could be a massacre actually. This could be a way back into the game here for Myriad. This is a huge raid. Sure, Myriad will be losing villages of his own though. Do you start to see a bit of a Donso transition though? 3 barracks being deployed. So it's definitely a bit of a switch in the approach here for Beasty. If you can get a significant number of Donsos, that will really help those Javelineers. speaking of which, these ones in the south. Still doing some great work. Beastie loses a lot of villagers. 15 total in the game so far. He's down to 31 villagers in total, which is a really low number. Of course, he's got the pit mines gathering gold for him. We'll clear up the rest of the Javelineers here down the south. Now, the game has been pretty unidimensional. It's been Javelineers versus mounted samurais up until now. The Donsos added into the mix, arguably one of the best spearman type units. They're able to throw a javelin periodically against nearby targets, so they get a good shot against the cavalry before the cavalry can even swoop in. This armor composition is incredibly tough to deal with in good numbers. Mounted samurai on their own, they just wouldn't be enough. I wonder if we'll see some siege from Myriad. Do see though, he's starting to get the farms up though, so his farming economy is starting to get online, and it's a great farming economy of course now with the enhanced farming upgrades, the 40% extra harvest rate on the farms. It's very nice indeed. And the food economy is actually looking stronger for Myriad than it is the Malians at the moment. They've been harvesting the cows. No cattle ranches for him just yet. Defensive outposts will be burned down. Oh, yet again. It's just been struggling to get a safe gold here, Myriad. Of course, the gold income for the Malians has been pretty safe with the pit mines. Passively generating, of course. I think Myriad needs to somehow get control of this middle area. Of course, he doesn't have access to castles in the Castle Age. He needs to get to Imperial Age to do that. The bigger problem is this number of Javelineers and Donsos now is starting to reach a critical mass that's going to be difficult to deal with. I don't think mounted samurai on their own are going to be an answer. Yeah, he's desperate for gold, as you can see. He needs the gold for the mounted samurai. He needs gold for anything, really. This is where it becomes a testing time here for the Japanese, because it almost feels like he's not got an answer to this. And any answer that he can go for, whether it's regular samurai from the barracks or siege, it will need gold. He's starting to itch forward with his army. Yeah, looks like he's really getting control of the gold. He recognizes that is the focal point for the Japanese now. He's trying to go on the left side for the gold as well. It's going to be difficult to get hold of, though. Here comes the engagement. You can see the Donsos already throwing their javelins. Javelineers behind them. Donsos are going to brace against the cavalry. He's taking the fight, Myriad. I think this could be the last fight of the game. We'll have to see. He's trying to get on top of the Javelineers with his cavalry. The Donsos are doing great work right behind this. It's the ultimate counter unit for them. This is not looking good. Samurai going on the villagers. The village garrison side, but yeah, the numbers here not looking good for Myriad at all. Beastie taking that fight and is winning it massively. He's still on gold though, but only for now. Now, what's really interesting in this game state is actually Beastie having lost a lot of villagers. It almost puts him in a position where he needs to do some damage now, because there's a possibility if the Japanese can survive the next 5-10 minutes, it could out-boom and at least out-eco the Malians. Still going to be tricky though. I mean, the question is whether the Japanese can hold. I'm not so sure. He does have a good number of mounted samurai, but the big problem is there's no answer to the veteran Donso here. So any engagement you feel like Beastie takes is going to be a winning one. And if Beastie notices the gold here, that could be a problem. One good thing here for Myriad, he can pull the army in different directions, but if Beastie decides to just go straight for his base and get some siege, it could be a problem. And samurai coming down the middle. We'll pick off a couple of stray Javelineers. The big question is, how long can the Japanese hold on for? Yeah, this is where it becomes important. The gold in the middle. This is what the Japanese want. And this is what Beastie can, if he can deny, he would probably see out the game. I mean, he's got a couple of Yumi Ashigaru now, but the big problem with that is, of course, with good micro with the Javelineers would just go for the Yumi Ashigaru. The Donsos would go for the amount of samurai. And it becomes a big problem. Especially with poisoned arrows. We're going to take the fight now here, it seems. Javelineers on the Yumi Ashigaru. The mounted samurai just about to charge on in. Donsos are bracing. He's taking the fight now. It's going to be a tricky one here for Myriad, you feel, because whilst he will possibly win this fight, where will the follow-up come from? In terms of answers to the counters, the units here. He's going to be microing this Beastie to try and get as much value as he can. He will clear up the Javelineers, but he's going to lose control of the middle. That's the big deal. And the Samurai will surround those Javelineers and take them out. But now without gold, where will Myriad be able to get his units? Which units will he go for? He's going for the gold on the right, but there's already units here waiting for him. Oh, this could be a problem. He's going to lose yet more villagers. And the big thing here for Myriad is the lack of gold. It's going to hurt him. I'm in a position now, actually, that spamming Donsos, not costing gold here for the Malians. It's going to be really cost effective for this fight. Is that Beastie going to go straight down the middle now, that seems? It's an army that's incredibly difficult to stop. Javelineers and Donsos. Despite a heavily hit economy, he's still able to pump out these units. And whilst there are plenty of villages here for the Japanese, a lot of them are idled, being pushed around, being pulled around. And Beastie still has control over the middle, and it looks like the control is going to be increasing even further with the outposts. There's one gold vein here that he could possibly rely on, but it's not that much gold left in it. Mounted Samurai and the Yumi Ashigaru. Perhaps can take one more head-on fight. There he goes. Mounted Samurai. That's a lot of Donsos, right? That's a lot of Donsos. That could be a painful fight for the Mounted Samurai if they do take them. Looks like Myriad's going to go for the middle now. Donso's about to brace. It could be a fight that Myriad eventually wins, but he will suffer some big losses with that number of Donsos he's up against. He's taking the fight. The Samurai going right on top of the Donsos. And the Yumi Ashigaru need to pepper down those Donsos as much as they possibly can, whittle down the numbers, and then maybe the Mounted Samurai can get on top of the Javelineers. Oh, but they're engaging. And there's a tall outpost there as well. It's going to be working well for the Malians. Looks like eventually the Malians will win this fight. He's lost most of his Donsos. The Javelineers will back away. And as you can see, they're still melting those Mounted Samurai. Yumi Ashigaru can't do too much against the Javelineers. As now Myriad does have to back away once again. Oh, this is not great. Soft around the back. Villagers trying to fight that off, but yeah, you can't really. He has secured the gold on the right side, at least. But Beastyqt still has control over the middle. That's increasingly going to become important, especially now with the raid on the gold. Beastyqt knows exactly where Myriad's going for it. This could be a lot of villagers going down. There's no army here for the Japanese to run back to. And the movement speed being greater for the Javelineers does mean they should be able to chase most of them down. This is going to be an expensive loss here for Myriad. He wasn't able to secure the gold. The Mounted Samurai are making their way, so he may not lose all of them. But he will be losing most of them. Looks like the poison arrow is enough to finish them off as well, so he's got enough to one-shot. Oh, this is expensive. And the Mounted Samurai will chase this down and clear it up. But he lost a lot there. And overall now, it does seem like it's kind of a struggle here for the Japanese to come up with a counter to this army. Looks like it's grouping up for the middle. I think increasingly we are seeing the match devolve into a fight for the middle. So Myriad might be queuing up for one big fight though. And one thing to consider is that Beastyqt did actually manage to secure 2 of the 5 relics, which is pretty good going considering he was second to the castle age. Now it does look like he's going to get an outpost on the gold just to get the extra 700 that's left behind. Myriad might be going for a bit of a raid. The army is kind of caught out of position for Beastyqt, but he's securing the middle gold. Just a group of Javelineers around the back, sneakily looking to raid. In fact, the Sopha should be able to do huge amounts of damage. He's given his position away here, Myriad, so Beastyqt's going to head over that position, see if he can cut those units off. There's a lot of Yume Ashigaru, I gotta say, back at home for Myriad defending. His arm is kind of split in two, so I don't think he can take this fight with the samurai. He's going to have to run away from this. Oh, he might be caught here. He's going to delete the walls to try and run through. Will he make it? He might be able to make it with most of them. The Javelineers getting some good damage. Lost a handful. Not terrible amounts, but he's been cut off gold once again. Here comes a big fight down the middle. Yume Ashigaru grouping together. Nothing to fight against, though. It's a bit of a dance between the two players. Question is, how does he take this fight? He's going to try and get a wraparound, hopefully with his samurai on top of the Javelineers if he can. Looks like this could be a big part of the end game of this match. Donso's charging through. Yume Ashigaru peppering them down though, picking off a lot of them. Javelineers peppering with those poison arrows on the Yume Ashigaru. Donso's hitting around the back. Samurai trying to get on top of the Javelineers, but there's so many of them. Donso's actually on the Yume Ashigaru, it seems. But this is weird. The Yume Ashigaru are getting free reign on the Donsos. Donso's attacking the Yume Ashigaru, but the Javelineers are going for the Mounted Samurai. Not the way we expected to see the fight. But even then, it looks like the Malians might win this fight, especially with the outposts. I think that's a big deal here. The 3 outposts with the emplacements is doing a lot of work. Not enough to one-shot the Mounted Samurai with this number of Javelineers, but it's certainly whittling down the numbers. It's a decent fight here for the Japanese, but the follow-up, the reinforcements coming in quicker for the Malians to the fight. Yeah, I think Mira just running out of steam. He's got plenty of food, but the problem for him, he's not got gold to make the Mounted Samurai back. Only 72 in the bank. Yeah, Beastyqt's got a huge number of his army units here in the middle. The Japanese, that seems like that was the last hurrah. And it's the lack of gold that's hurt him. He's looking to regroup once again. But Beastyqt already got 53 units on the field. He's going around the right side for the gold again. Yeah, this match has always been about gold. These Javelineers going to pick off a lot of villages here. 10 of them. These are all gone. And there's no way for Myriad to defend these. I mean, maybe not all of them, but yeah, I mean, probably most of them. And there it is. GG gets called, Myriad taps out, he has to in the end, just doesn't have any control over gold, wasn't able to replace the army he's lost, and it's a crazy army composition for the Malians, Javelineers and Donsos. Beastyqt takes the game on Carmel.